Welcome to Strategy Battle Gamers, another GBHL YouTube video. You hear your host GBHL Damian and no one, it's just me. Which is something you know if you've been watching the channel for a long time. I don't particularly like doing solo videos, but every now and again something comes along that I think is important to get out to the community. So in this video what I'm basically going to be doing is talking about Warhammer Fest and all the news and tidbits and so on and so forth that that came out from that. I know a lot of you, well probably most of you, would have seen all the photos and various snaps and sneak peeks that went up on the Great British Hobbit League, and then various things got kind of talked about and discussed in the various threads under those, and I thought it would be good to just put all that information in one place so you can get a kind of hopefully, not obviously not official, but pretty damn close to truthful reaction to what was all there and all the information that came out. Before I plunge into that though, I will say sorry about what might be deemed as a relatively quiet few weeks on the channel. I know James is really busy with Hot Gates Gaming, Jamie's really busy with running, I think, the biggest, most successful Kickstarter of all time, I believe, with Dark Souls, so well done there. Tom's, in the few weeks leading up to this, me and Tom are obviously working on SBG, and our my evenings currently seem to be spent packing up magazines and sent them out. It's like Groundhog Day, it's terrifying. Tom is currently in the States, I believe, at the moment. He's flying all over the world at the moment. I think he's in Miami at the moment, looking at a rather interesting rock, and that, as feared a couple of weeks ago, has had an impact on our Palantir schedule. So unfortunately this video is replacing the Palantir for today. He won't be back in time for next week, but we hope to be back for the Palantir in 2 weeks' time. That's the current plan, and fingers crossed, if you just bear with us through the next couple of weeks, we should be able to get back to a more kind of regular scheduling system. But we do have Tom's body double in today, so hopefully he's here in spirit. In our news, Jamie and Harry have started another brilliant series, Middle-earth World Cup, on the channel. I think you're going to be getting an awful lot of videos for that next week, so tune into that kind of Monday to Wednesday and you should be seeing a lot of videos about that quite exciting series. So, I think that out of the way. As I said, sorry about that. Hopefully you'll bear with us. You all know that this isn't our job and we just do this on the side, and hopefully you're not too mad at us. But we did also just pass 5,000 subscribers. Oh, woo! Thank you so much for that. That's absolutely awesome news. I think it's fair to say when Jamie started the podcast up just to do like interviews with TOs a few years back, he never would have dreamed it would become this big. And then obviously with James joining and then me joining and then Tom joining over the years, I think it's just amazed us how well it's taken off. So thank you so much for all your support. It's very, very exciting. Hopefully, with the renewed interest in Middle-earth strategy battle game, we'll be able to develop this and kind of keep the channel growing as we go forward. So yeah, thank you very much. So, to Warhammer Fest. It was amazing. Warhammer Fest, for the three people out there who don't know, is the essentially Games Workshop's new version of Games Day. I think it's been running for a couple of years under the Warhammer Fest title. Yeah, so it's held at the Rico Arena in Coventry, and they basically take over the arena for 2 days and just put everything you could want to see about Games Workshop on. For me, as at the moment a sole kind of Lord of the Rings player, it's never really held much interest to me before, because you know, but largely being as it was fantasy and 40k, wasn't really worth the admission price for me. But this time, the Middle-earth team, the new formed Middle-earth team of Adam, Jay, Gav, Rob and Keith were all putting on their kind of showing their stuff off, and that was tempting enough, and I was thinking maybe I should go to this. And then very kindly I was having a chat with Adam, and we were invited to go and display the Dol Guldur board that Barry made for SPG issue 3, which was amazing. I mean, what a genuine honour and privilege. It was so cool, and obviously I kind of jumped at the chance. Unfortunately, Tom was off jet setting around the world looking at rocks and couldn't make it, but Matt Davis, who Generation Shift, I'm sure a lot of you know, came with me on the Saturday and joined me, and we sat at the Dol Guldur board. which was so cool to get it all out again, because you got to bear in mind that it's not set up at the moment, it's in storage, so any excuse for me to get it out and have a play with it is brilliant. So we didn't run it as a participation game, we just made a big display. Also, it was a official GW event, so it was only official GW models on there, so we weren't necessarily using all the custom models from issue 3. Is fair enough, you know, their house, their rules. But what that also allowed us to do was have a bit more kind of creative license with what we put on there. So we ended up putting like 4 eagles on and a bunch of Goblin Town stuff and some Castellans, and basically just Bayorn joined in, for example. We basically just put on anything that would look cool rather than sticking to our scenario, which is really cool. So you had these eagles kind of strafing through Dol Guldur. I'll probably put some, I'm going to be putting some pictures up of the various bits and bobs throughout this video, and I'll probably maybe put a few shots up there. So that was ludicrously cool. So we got to show off Barry O'Neill's wonderful terrain to thousands of people over the course of the weekend, and Steve Crow's spiders, and Wounded Gandalf were on there as well. So that was pretty awesome getting those on, and yeah, so it was great. And so first off, from our point of view, just thank you to the Middle-earth team for inviting us. It was absolutely awesome. I don't think there was a lot of non-GW stuff there. I don't know, looking around it seemed mostly GW, so to have been asked to kind of show off something that the kind of independent community did, I think was a awesome, wonderful, generous move on the Middle-earth team's part. So thanks so much for having us, guys. It was brilliant, and hopefully you enjoyed it. So from our point of view, that was really cool. I basically spent 2 days chatting to people and basically telling them how great Barry was. Seemed to be my weekend. People absolutely adored the display, and I don't know if it helped, but it certainly, there was a lot of people standing there who were saying, oh yeah, I used to play it, and then we're looking at it, and then we got chatting to, and I know a lot of people joined the Great British Hobbit Facebook page that weekend after being at Warhammer Fest and seeing all Middle-earth stuff. So that was cool. So hopefully it's been good for our little Facebook page and our kind of independent scene as well. So yeah, that was brilliant fun, absolutely brilliant fun. But let's be honest, you don't really care about that. What you care about is the stuff, the toys, the tidbits. And so I've got some notes here, and hopefully I'll kind of cover everything. I'm bound to forget something, and I apologise, but if we do, we'll cover that in future episodes of the Palantir stuff. But hopefully this will give you a breakdown of some of the stuff we discovered. So first things first, the old products that are coming back. At Warhammer Fest, there was a bunch of out-of-production stuff that was available for the first time. This shouldn't be a giant surprise because it was all announced in advance, but you could get the 5 source books. All 5 source books were back. The Osgiliath Ruins were back, hooray! And there was basically a set from every source book coming back, which I think is quite a cool idea to get, so that every army or every faction is kind of represented. Excuse me. Yes, brilliant. And so, from the Fallen Realms, you had the Saruman and Grima Finecast pack. From the King's Men, you had the Boromir Foot and Mounted pack, which is brilliant, Bozza's back. From the Mordor book, you had Gothmog Foot and Mounted, awesome. From the Free People's book, my personal favourite, the Scouring of the Shire set, that's amazing. And they were the 4 that were announced. Those were the 4 that were on sale. And the 5th one from Moira and Angmar that wasn't on sale and wasn't announced, but wasn't announced in advance, but was announced on day, was, whisper it, the Shade. So the Shade is coming back from Moira and Angmar. Boo, and so forth. But what's awesome about this, I genuinely got quite happy about some of these things. That, you know, some of these kits, the Scouring, the Shire and the Shade in particular, are definitely, they tend to go for stupid money on eBay. So they were going for, I know Adam and the team said they were going for kind of iconic sets like the Scouring the Shire, Boromir, Gothmog. But you know, it's also great that they've picked some ones that maybe might irritate perhaps those people who have been trying to make a fortune off selling off old kits. So that's awesome. So yeah, those are the kits that are coming back to begin with, because there'll be more. And prices. I picked up a couple of them. I have here Boromir. So there is the Boromir pack. So first things first, because I know this will matter to some people, you still get the packaging on these guys, which is nice. They're not just generic white packs. So it's those are the 2 models you get. The Armoured Foot and Mounted. The banner is an option for the Garden Horse. And as you can see, he is Finecast, or Citadel resin if it's not Finecast anymore, whatever that means. It says Finecast on it. It says Citadel Finecast on the pack, so there we go. These are the Finecast resin technique. The reason this is Finecast is because last time it was on sale, it was Finecast, and that is their kind of rule, or their guiding philosophy, I think, that these out of production models will be released in the same material that they were on sale last time. So, for example, the Sauron and Grima, Gothmog and Boromir are in Finecast, the Shade and the Scaran and the Shire are in metal, and the books are in paper. Okay, so that won't change at any point. So yeah, so you know, maybe some people might go, oh, Finecast, but you know, what's better, a Finecast model or no model? And the answer is, of course, a Finecast model. Also, these were, I can confirm that this one and Gothmog were £22, which I believe is the same price they were last time we were on sale. So that's pretty good. Obviously cheaper than a current Hobbit for a mounted model. That's pretty exciting. The Sarabande Pack I didn't actually pick up, but I think I want to say it was 17 quid, 18 quid, it was around that. Again, the same price it was last time. The Shade wasn't on sale, so it didn't have a price. And I also picked up one of these, the Scaran and the Shire sets. Woo-woo! So this doesn't have the box, unfortunately. I imagine it's something, I don't know why, maybe it's the difference between I don't know, having a box art and having a piece of paper that slips inside a clam pack. And as you can see, it is metal. So this is the Scaran and the Shire set, absolutely amazing. Gorgeous, gorgeous models. It's great to have these available again. Just show off one of these guys. There he is. It's so cool, so cool. If they were doing nothing else, the very fact that they've brought these kind of classic models back is awesome for the game. So they're back on sale, and this box was £33, which I thought was great. With all these prices, I'm not guaranteeing this is what they'll be when they come out, but all of these were not announced prices. These were what they're on sale for at the event. And that box was 33 quid, which is great, really great deal. So if that's the price it stays at, brilliant stuff. But I was expecting it to be more like about £40, I think. And so, given that you get 4 mounted cavalry models in metal and 2 foot models. But yeah, so that's great. So those are the 5 sets that are coming back to begin with. They also made it quite clear that there would be more coming back in the future. There wasn't a timescale for this, but the idea would be that basically certain classic models that are really, really iconic would be coming back. That was the driving philosophy behind it, that it would be the iconic models. I know there was a seminar and Adam mentioned Halbrad, for example, and he said you won't be able to get 3 versions of Halbrad, but at some point you'll be able to get Halbrad. So that's the kind of philosophy. So if there are any really, really iconic, cool models missing from the range, I think you could expect to see them before too long. If there's any wizards maybe wizards on horses that seem to be missing from the range perhaps, I think they might be out before all that long. When all that long is, I don't know, I'm not privy to that. With this stuff, they said, I'm a bit confused on this, bear in mind I'm just going from memory here. I think at one point for some of this stuff I heard a few weeks, and for some of this stuff I heard like next month. And I think that was either the books, the source books, or the models. So either the models would be back on sale in a few weeks, or the books would be back on sale in a few weeks, and the other one would be back on sale in about a month or something. Or maybe I'm completely wrong about that. But I think the idea is that all this stuff, the out production stuff that was available at Warhammer Fest, would be back on sale within, I don't know, within a month, within 2 months, somewhere in that rough area, I think is when you can be looking at. So don't go spending loads and loads of money on this stuff on eBay, because they are coming back soon. The Asgiliath Ruins I didn't pick up, they went like hotcakes. I believe, I think they had 50 sets of the Ruins over the weekend, and I think they were gone by 11 AM on the Saturday. It was amazing. That kit's so popular. So I think that kit was, I want to say 18 quid, but again I'm not sure, I didn't pick any of those up. And again, I believe the books were £17, which I think is the same they were previously. So there's your prices for you. In short, the books, plastic ruins and Finecast stuff is the same price anything metal coming back, I think, is going to be a little bit more due to the cost of production, I think. But hopefully that that deals with that, the old stuff that was coming back. Okay, any questions? No? Good. Okay, so that's the old stuff coming back. Very, very exciting. Great, truly, truly great for the range. But not as exciting as the new stuff. So, as you've undoubtedly seen, and I'll flash up some photos here again, there was an awful lot of new stuff on display. And I'm going to start with what I thought was the perhaps the most unexpected thing in a way. When we there was rumours. I think it was pretty obvious they were going to have something on display, given that they were having a big presence there and they were going to have some models on display. And given that they'd shown off Dane at Throne of Skulls, I thought maybe I was expecting maybe Dane, some Iron Hills Dwarfs, and possibly the Ram Riders. I think that's what I had in my head, as you might maybe get. I don't know. But when we got there at about 8:30, I think, to start setting up the Dol Guldur board. And the first time we went, they'd obviously set up everything on Friday, and we went and dropped everything off by our table. And then before we had to go back down to the car to a second load, Adam went, right, come on, let's get this over with. Because me and Matt were kind of straining our heads. And went over, and in the middle of their display was this Lake Town board, which is absolutely glorious. And kind of suddenly got me ludicrously excited about the ideas of the Lake Town board. And I didn't see this coming at all. I don't think anyone did. I think it's fairly well documented that that it was made at some point. If you look in the back of it's in the Desolation of Smaug book, I believe, you'll see some pictures of it. And I remember there being a lot of discussions many years ago when it came out about whether or not it was scratch built or whether it was a kit. And in some of the videos that Games Workshop released when they released the Lake Towners and all the close-up videos of where the models were on the scenery, I remember some eagle-eyed person spotting that there was a mould line on one, thus proving that it was a manufactured kit rather than custom made or something like that. But nothing ever came of it. And it's because I think they were quite open about the fact that the support for the game kind of scaled back, so plans for it got scrapped. But basically, when the Middle-earth team was assembled, something happened, like the original designer of it got in touch and said, did you know this is here? It was all done, I believe it's done digitally, so they had the files for it, and they said this is could be ready to go before too long. So I think the guys kind of jumped on it and went, yeah. So that board that you are seeing, or have seen on the screen, is entirely made up of the kit. It's basically kit bashed a bunch of times. And the kit that you get is the Lake Town house set that you see. So you get one house, a privy, a boat, and then a bunch of the walkways. And the house is actually sitting on a big rectangular walkway that you can probably see on the board. So if you don't glue your house to that, you also get a bigger kind of almost market square type piece of walkway. So that's one kit. It's only one kit. There's not a selection of different buildings. It's just that. But everything on that wide board was made from that one kit by kind of kit bashing it. It's plastic. It's plastic. It's plastic. It will be released in plastic. It's plastic. There seem to be some objections to that on the group, where people go, no, it must be resin. It's not resin, it's plastic. Promise. Of the very few things on this video that I'm sure of it, that's one of them. It's plastic, and it will be plastic. I really hope it's plastic. So that's coming out. I believe the timescale on that was either December or January. I think they were kind of hoping to get it out this year, but it might be out in January. So that's the kind of timescale for that kit. That's ludicrously exciting. It's gorgeous. They had one that you could pick up and kind of play with. Really, really good. Price is yet to be decided, so they hadn't announced the price on that. I don't know. Who knows? It will come out. It will be an amount of money, and it will probably be worth it because it's a beautiful, beautiful kit. So. That's very exciting and a really nice bonus. And Jay's kind of Lake Town army was kind of displayed. He was very happy about the whole having Lake Town scenery, I think. But his Lake Town stuff was set up across this gorgeous little board, and it just looked fantastic. I can see that kit being used for a whole bunch of games. I can see it being used in like Frostgrave and Malifaux and all sorts of other bits from Bob's, Mordheim even. But it's really, really great. Some of the walls, not all of them, but some of the walls are reversible, I believe, which is how you can get the kind of flexibility in the kit to give yourself some slightly different options, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it was absolutely brilliant, and again, just an unexpected bonus, I think, like to show that this isn't kind of Battle of Five Armies era Middle-earth support. This is a new team really invested in kind of, you know, promoting this and giving you cool stuff. It was ludicrously cool to have the old stuff on sale at Warhammer Fest. You know, they didn't have any new stuff for sale, but they kind of had new stuff for sale because they released the old stuff, and I think the team are clearly very switched on to what the community want. You know, we need Boromir, we need Gothmog, we want the Hobbits on Ponies, we need the source books, we want the ruins. You know, all these things would have been very high at the top of most people's list, and there they were. So this is awesome, and it either means they're all geniuses, or they're listening to the community, or both. So it's great. So I think you know, huge kudos to them on that. So yeah, Lake Town scenery towards like December, January time, and you buy that house in a box. I think at one point I asked if there'd be any more based on its success, and I believe the answer was something like, there's no plans for any more, but who knows. If it's a huge seller, then maybe. You know, they might do different buildings or something. But it seemed that it's very easy to kit bash. I get the impression you could buy two of them and make one big house by putting the various pieces together, which would be so cool. So I'd expect to see a fair few of those turning up at tournaments. Okay, so that's the Lake Town scenery. That was pretty exciting. On to perhaps the most exciting thing, the thing that I guess you're most excited about, which is the new models. You've seen the pictures. I'm going to put them up here as I discuss each one. They are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So we'll start with Dane. Dane on Pig, great stuff. The Dane we had seen at Throne Skulls, we can now reveal, was the one on foot, and he didn't have any hands. It's very interesting seeing the way the process works, because he did have the hammer, but he just hadn't had his hand sculpted on. So he was now, I think he was finished, but it was called a work in progress because he'd been sent off to Warner Brothers to be approved. So as far as I know, the model is, as you see it in the cabinet, is finished, but it's just not approved. So it's kind of 99% sure it's going to look like that, or whatever. That statistic I've made up. But they were very confident that that was the finished Dane. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. It was sculpted by Keith Robertson. Absolutely stunning model. Sculpted in clay, like traditional sculpting techniques for that one. We'd seen the one on foot before, and he looks cool. If I'm brutally honest, I don't think the photo that I took of it, the little one on foot, does it justice. I don't think I've got the right angle, because he looks better than he does in that photo. It's a stunning model. The likeness is incredible. I think there's a wonderful case to be made that because Dane was replaced with CGI, the model almost looks more like Billy Connolly than Dane does in the film, perhaps. But it was amazing. But what we hadn't seen is the one on Pig, and he is awesome. You can see it, and that, I think the photo does show that off pretty well. Obviously not as well as seeing it in the flesh, but that model is stunning. And you can literally, I watched the Battle of Five Armies when I came back because I was so excited, and you can freeze frame the exact shot where it comes from. It is literally straight out of the movie, and as he's walking up to chat to Gandalf. But absolutely stunning model again by Keith. So well done, sir. Absolutely stunning. I think he got an unfair amount of attention perhaps over the other stuff just because it's Dane as opposed to generic warriors. But it's a beautiful model. In the seminar, they did talk about the things they had on display, and Jay also gave some rules tidbits, which is quite exciting. So I know this stuff hasn't gone out too much. I'm obviously going from memory, and I don't have a clue if these are the finished rules or if they're rules that Jay and Adam are currently playtesting or what, but he did give a hint as to how some of the models would work, and I would like to share that with you. Dane, they said he was a boss. He was the beastie, awesome dwarf you want him to be, and Jay used the phrase he had 3s in all the right places. So we are looking at 3 wounds, 3 attacks, 3 might, 3 fate, probably. So that's pretty cool. He also said that he can obviously ride the pig, so he must have a pig option. He also said that he would be able to headbutt enemies to the ground in some way. So the headbutt rule is in there. He didn't describe how it worked. He didn't describe the strength or anything, I think. But there was some comment about if he doesn't kill them in combat, I think he gets the headbutt. So I think it's kind of, if he's, I don't know, if he charges in and he, one of the models is left alive or something, I don't know, he then gets to headbutt it to the ground. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it doesn't actually like wound the model, it knocks it down, something like that. Maybe that's, I'm misremembering that, and in fact he gets to, maybe he gets to choose one model he gets to knock to the ground, something like that. But he does have a headbutt attack, which is cool. And then he made a point of, he's kind of talking in kind of nice vague sentences where he's like, do you know how when Dane's around, none of the dwarfs run away? Well, maybe then in the game when Dane's around, none of the dwarfs run away. Adam made a reference to an old version of Dane, or an old scenario rule where Dane had a table-wide fearless, essentially, so all dwarfs would pass all courage tests, and he said it's not that good. So it's not dwarfs all over the table, but he said something like dwarfs close to him won't be running away. So I guess he's going to have maybe a 6-inch kind of fearless bubble or something, or maybe it said they won't be running away, so maybe a stand fast that affects heroes, or you know, again they didn't spell it out, but that was the idea, that he will be able to prevent other dwarfs running away. So maybe everyone's got fearless or something when they're within 6 inches of him. I don't know, but it was something along those lines. And then Adam made reference to the scene where they're kind of falling back towards Erebor, and he's kind of holding them together, holding those last dwarfs together, and how they're not legging it into a mountain, but they're, you know, standing stoically and kind of refusing to give way. So that they're trying to come up with rules that reflect the films, which is awesome. So that's Dane. He's going to be in the first wave of releases that I'll talk about when I get through the rest of the first wave. So Dane, absolutely stunning, beautiful. Keith had a book full of all his the screenshots he'd basically used, and it's amazing the kind of detail he goes into, kind of having the like, you know, almost every shot he's in, it was screen grab to get like his gauntlet or his boot or his fur or whatever, and you can it's really paid off. The model is absolutely stunning, and I will be first in digital line to pick up one of those. So that's Dane. Second, we have the Iron Hills Warriors. This is awesome. I'd kind of maybe optimistically hoped we might see these, but seeing them all lined up was absolutely brilliant. So yes, these are sculpted by Gavin Newton, who's the other full-time Middle-earth sculptor, which is pretty cool. And he's just done a stunning work on these, and these are actually done digitally. So these are sculpted digitally, and what was great was how well they fit in with Dane, even though they're by a different sculptor and a different technique. They look very much like they're part of the same army. Gav's, and he was there as well, Keith and Gav were both there chatting. They're very forthcoming about the process and the design. And again, you've seen these, I'll put them up now. These are the Iron Hills Dwarfs, and you will see there are 11 in the cabinet. There are in fact 12 in individual poses. So you can begin to see where this is going. The warriors, at least in this first instance, the warriors they have 12 different poses, and they will be sold as 12. You get them as a pack. You essentially get a warband. Pricing again wasn't set or wasn't decided, or at least wasn't announced. But the price, the thing they were referencing was the Deathcore for Krieg Forge World guys. So you can go and see them, and I think they're. I went. I can't remember. I was having a chat about it at the time, but I think they're like 12 for 40 quid or something like that. So if they can do them at in that sort of price point, that'd be awesome, because that would make them cheaper than the fine cost models at the moment, which is great. So you could, I think a realist would optimistically view that as a reduction in price. I'm sure some people will moan about it, of course there will, people always moan, but it would be cheap. These warriors may well, and don't hold me to this, and they certainly didn't guarantee this, they may well be cheaper than the fine cast warriors that we've got at the moment, but they'll be available in a box of 12 via Forge World. So that's pretty awesome. And as you can hopefully see, what they've done is the design brief for these was the scene where the shields go down and they go, and you can see he's kind of made that with forming the shield wall and actually having the other guys kind of running along to kind of join the shield wall. It's like a really dynamic action moment, which I think is going to be really cool on the table, because you won't just be chucking your models about willy-nilly. There'll be an order for you to put your models in, which I think will be ludicrously cool. They're absolutely gorgeous. They're absolutely beautiful. Again, if you see on some of the photos, these are, it says work in progress pending approval, and I think Gavin said he actually there was a few bits he wasn't happy with, which is amazing because they're absolutely beautiful and absolutely stunning. So I think I don't know. I don't know kind of what level, if it's a tiny bit of chainmail or if it's, you know, making them have trunks instead of noses. Who knows? But I think there might be some slight changes before the final version. But essentially, that's the kit you'll get. But probably, I would guess, just somehow slightly better. So Gav, amazing work on those. Absolutely brilliant. Very nice to meet you as well for the first time. I met Keith at what was it? Throwing Skulls, it must have been. But Gav, I haven't met you before, so cheers. Great to see you over the weekend, if you're watching this. Absolutely brilliant models. Really exciting. Very keen to get my hands on some of those. Again, in similar, they gave a few hints about them. They said they were elite infantry, so they're going to be Fight 4, Strength 4, which makes them pretty damn tough, like which we call an army of Strength 4 dwarfs. That's interesting. And they also said that they would have a shield. This isn't a huge surprise, I think, given the way the models are made, but they're going for that shield wall effect, essentially, which I think there's been a lot of like homebrew profiles which have kind of tried to do that as well. It seems to be the thing that the Iron Hills dwarfs are kind of known for, essentially. So the way they're representing that is that they're defense 7 if they've got a shield, and Jay said, I believe if they're touching another Iron Hills dwarf, presumably with a shield, they become defense 8. Did he say 1? He might have said 2 if they're touching 2. I don't know. Maybe they have to be touching 2. I'm not sure. But yeah, if they're in base-to-base contact with at least 1 more, I think they will become defense 8, which is amazing. You can got defense 8, strength 4 dwarfs, but of course they're only defense 8 as long as they're together, and you can start to see how you can get around that by maybe getting them in the flanks and kind of, you know, getting them out of base-to-base contact when they become relatively squishy at defense 7. Also doesn't make a difference. Some armies like strength 4 won't make a difference and stuff, but it's a cool rule that will help protect them against shooting. Elf shooting suddenly becomes 6s by 4s instead of 6s, that sort of stuff. So that's cool. And again, I think it's nice to have that kind of, the idea is that you pull your dwarves together, put them all base-to-base contact, they go doof, 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 and they become harder, and it's cool. So hopefully there'll be kind of these cinematic rules that kind of represent how what the models do in the film. So that's awesome. So yeah, that was by Gav Newton. Well done, sir. Astounding, beautiful models. Hopefully the reaction has shown that. And then the last thing that was in the cabinet, which was, I thought, a real bonus, was the Ballista. This thing's stunning. This thing's absolutely amazing. And this was made by Rob McFarlane, who's another Forge World sculptor, who's not actually, let me get this right, I don't think he works for Middle-earth team, but he works for Forge World, and he did this in his own time. He kind of went, yeah, he's a Middle-earth nut. I met him, absolutely lovely bloke. I had quite a long chat with him over the weekend. And he just kind of wanted to do something for Middle-earth. So he's done the Ballista, which has essentially jumped the Ballista up the priority queue, which is awesome. You got people willing to do that. So this thing is absolutely stunning. If you don't have a clue what the hell it is, it means you haven't seen the extended version of the Battle of 5 Armies. And if you haven't seen the extended version of the Battle of 5 Armies, I don't really know what you're doing here. Go and watch it. It's incredible. But the Ballista is there. It is big. Someone said it's too big. Like not in the sense of the scale's wrong. Just it's 5 to 6 inches. It's too big. So I don't know why 5 to 6 inches. That's not too big. But what too big for what? Smaug's bigger than that, a dragon's bigger than that, an eagle's bigger than that. Well, I don't know, maybe it's not the right, maybe it's too big for a Ballista. Who the hell knows what that was about? I think it's just about right. I think it looks fantastic. It's a beautiful model. That looks very cool. On the, I think it's on the dragon base, I think, on the oval base. And it had, what was really cool, and you can see again the third sculptor, they had 3 things on, and they're all done by different people. But the dwarfs on it, I remember them saying that Gav gave Rob the dolly for the Iron Hills dwarfs. Now, I don't have a clue what that means, but I presume it's not like a Barbie. I'm guessing that dolly is the term they use for the kind of digital files, the digital master or something of the dwarf. So what basically happened was Gav created the Iron Hills dwarfs, and then he gave those dwarfs to Rob to repose into crew, essentially. So it ensures that all the dwarfs, even though they're done by a different sculptor, are kind of the same proportions, the same size and everything. So that's kind of cool and a great bonus. And again, it helped with the whole army tying in together. Honestly, if you look at it, it could have all been done by one guy, which is great. It shows how well the team are working together. So yeah, the Ballista is there, and it looks absolutely beautiful. I imagine that will be quite pricey, because it looks like a pretty decent chunk of resin. But I'm going to find it very, very... That's oddly, I think, possibly the thing I'm most excited about getting. I know it sounds strange, but it just looks so cool. So cool. So yeah, and again, in the seminar, there was some hints about it. If you've seen the extended version, you know what the things do. They fire these bolts that then shred all the arrows of the elves, and they stop. Not a single arrow hits the dwarfs. So I think the intention of this is to ensure that not a single arrow hits the intention of the dwarfs. The way Jay explained it was that it fires. I think Adam said it always counts as calling heroic shoot as well. So it will always shoot first, which is a kind of cool little rule that you can understand why they're doing in a minute. Always shoots first. And it fires a bolt, you pick a target, and then I presume it'll be like a war machine, so I presume it scatters or whatever. And wherever it hits, you then draw a line between the Ballista and that, and no shooting can go over that line or something. No shooting can go, I presume no shooting can cross that line, something like that. So I guess the idea would be you'd fire it from one side of your army to the other side of your army, you know, diagonally. And then I think the way it works, again, you know, it was fairly vague, but you won't, I don't think, they didn't mention like sixes to hit, I think you just won't be able to shoot through it, because the idea is that any arrow that comes through will just be shredded, which is cool, and represents what happens in the film exactly. So I think, and then Adam mentioned in playtesting having like this kind of shield wall of Iron Hills dwarfs walking up the table whilst, you know, almost entirely impenetrable to arrows, and it's kind of like, all right, well, if you can manage to get an angle, their defense 8 and you're not going to hit them. So I think the idea is this, you know, these dwarf armies traditionally have to walk towards you and get shot to ribbons, whereas this one, you ain't going to be shooting it and you're going to have to fight it, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I think that's the intent. I think that was all they said about the Ballista. There was no mention of any points values or anything like that. But yeah, so those are the releases, and clearly you can see that the first thing they'll be doing will be the Iron Hills dwarfs, and those releases at the top of that cabinet, possibly alongside other stuff, I don't know, but those releases will be the first releases from the Middle Earth project. And they will be coming out in September. Really not too long at all. 4 months away and they'll be released. I don't know if they all come out together, if they come out at the start of September or all September, but September was the time frame that was being bandied about for them. So that's incredibly cool. All of those will be made using the Forge World resin casting process. Okay, so they're all the new models are all the new models that have been sculpted are going to be in Forge World resin. Anything re-released will be in the material it was in, and the Lake Town scenery will be in plastic. Okay, hopefully that clears that up. So yeah, that will be coming out in September, which is ludicrously exciting. So come September, you'll have Dane, Iron Hills Dwarfs, Iron Hills Warriors, and the Ballista at the very least. And then, and this was said in the seminar, this is what they said. So I'm gonna go with it. They said every month after that there'll be something new. That's amazing. Every month. And they said I think there was either a new release or some old stuff will be coming back. So that's the idea, that every single month now, there is no more waiting till December once a year for a big Hobbit release. There's going to be new stuff constantly, which is amazing. Absolutely terrifying and terrible for the bank balance, obviously, but very, very cool for our game. New stuff every month from September. They didn't really give a hint, too much of a hint, as to where things were going, but some things I picked up. Looking through, again, Gav had his book with all his Iron Hills Dwarfs Warriors reference. Keith had his one with the Dane pictures in it, but also towards the back they had some more stuff. So Keith had a lot of pictures of the Gundabad Berserkers, you know, the guys who are at the top of Ravenhill, like attacking Thorin that Leggy's shooting. So I think the very, very strong implication was that was the next thing that Keith was working on. He was going to be doing those. So that's quite exciting. So hopefully there'll be, so clearly that would imply that the Berserkers are getting profiles. That's pretty cool. And then at the back of Gav's, there was one picture of Thranduil on an elk. So just one picture. I don't know if he's working on that next, but it was in there. So you know, nothing was in there by mistake. Let's be honest. They knew what we were looking at. And there was one concept picture as well from Keith of a mace that looked very much like Kamal's mace. So who knows what kind of order that goes in, but it seems that relatively high up their order, it would seem, are the Berserkers, Thranduil on elk, and at least one of the Hobbit ring wraiths. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty exciting. There's potentially some hints about where things are going next, shall we say. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Forge World models in the Forge World process, starting in September and then going on as long as people buy them. Okay, I think that's everything. Cool. And the last thing, kind of last thing they've shown off was the book at the bottom, which sent the kind of internet into a tailspin when I put that photo up. That was almost, I think did that get the most likes or something? Well, I think every one of the post pictures I put up has broke our kind of record. I think it should give the team a kind of big pat on the back as kind of how much people liked it. But I think our previous likes record on the Great British Hobbit League was about 200 or something, and I think like the Iron Hills Dwarfs, Dane, Ballista and the book are all way over 200 I think, so that's pretty awesome. It shows kind of how much people liked it, so that's great. The book, this book, it looks gorgeous. It is a mock-up, it is not the final book. This is so important. I put this on the post and people are running with it, looking at the size of it and how many pages are in, and well, it must contain this and it's bigger than this book and all that. It's a complete and utter mock-up. That is not the printed book at all. It is a book. You might well know the book that it actually is with a mocked-up cover on it, okay, to give you some idea of the sort of thing they were going to be releasing. I believe the word count for the book was the page count, they were talking about maybe about 150. They'll give you some idea. It's about, isn't the Free Peoples is 48? So you're looking at something about 3 times the thickness of the Free Peoples book, possibly a bit more, somewhere in that ilk. But it will, however, be I believe it will be a hardbound book like that one. And the idea is that this book is going to be a nice, big hardback book that goes on your shelf next to your Unexpected Journey big hardback book and completes the journey. So just to make it very clear, this book, the first book they're working on, is not a new edition of the rules in any way. Just as the source books are complete reprints, this book is also it's not a new edition of the rules. And what it is it replaces the Battle of Five Armies supplement and the Desolation of Smaug supplement. So those two will basically be gone. Those two smaller supplements. There was an admittance from the team that the support for Unexpected Journey had been fantastic with the quality of the book and the quality of the range and all that. And then what you can clearly see had happened was maybe diminishing, shall we say, interest in it over the next couple of years, from a small supplement to a free thing in White Dwarf. So this is essentially intending to address that, and it will basically, so your Desolation of Smaug book and your Battle of Five Armies books will no longer be current, and this book will replace them. So that means all the profiles from those two films are going to be in this book. There was reference to the fact that there would be every profile. I think this isn't certain, but I think every profile in there at the moment will make it into the new book, alongside lots of new ones and some revised ones. They didn't go into detail about what's being revised, but I don't know. Some of them, I don't know. I think you could easily speculate on some of the profiles perhaps that have come out being deemed maybe too powerful over the last couple of years, that might well be getting changed in some way. The kind of manifesto for that was that they would change things that no longer reflected what they did in the film, because those two supplements were done before the films came out, so they hadn't seen the final films. They're working from early scripts and that sort of stuff, and there's things in there that don't happen. One mention was given to Biffa's axe. So it's Biffa's rule, isn't it? Yeah, Biffa's got a rule that Bofa can pull the axe out of his head. That doesn't happen anymore. So that rule won't be in there. It's that kind of thing. The rules will be changed and reflected to show what actually happens in the film, which is very, very cool. In the films, I should say. So they all change, and new profiles. I want to say 70 profiles in total. I could be making that up. I have a vague feeling that there might be about 70 profiles in the book. That number seems to ring a bell. Not 70 new profiles, but 70 profiles. So everything from the last two supplements, and then also some new profiles. Some people asked what the profiles would be, and they basically said, if you can think of anything cool from those films, odds are they can think of it too, and it's in there. Like the young dwarfs were kind of mentioned potentially as having profile. Again, not guaranteed, but the young dwarfs from the flashback scenes would have profiles. I don't know. I don't think anything else was particularly given away. Thinking about it, but I would guess you'd see. You're going to see berserkers, for example. You know, the Gundabad berserkers. Maybe catapult trolls, Gundabad trolls. I don't know. Like whatever. If you can, I think they're very much, you know, essentially giving people everything they wanted. So if you can think of it, if you can imagine it being in that film, then I think you'll get a profile for it. So that's apparently half the book. The profiles for the kind of new stuff. So that's incredibly exciting, and will hopefully, what I'm really excited from as a kind of tournament goer is the kind of how that will shake up the meta again. So that would be really cool, kind of getting those kind of you know, brand new profiles, and it'll be like kind of going back to 2012, last time we had a huge influx of new profiles. That'll be quite cool. I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. So yeah, and the second half of the book is scenarios, narrative scenarios that reflect the Desolation of Smaug and Battle of Five Armies, which is brilliant, because I think it's fair to say that there's two scenarios in the Battle of Five Armies book which aren't particularly inspiring. I think they might be good fun to play, but they're not the kind of narrative-driven ones. They're, you know, quite perfunctory. And then some of the Desolation of Smaug ones are just plain wrong. You've got like Azog on Warg chasing the guys down the river in barrels. And I think they mentioned 30 scenarios, which is awesome. 30 scenarios that basically go from the end of Unexpected Journey to the end of the Battle of Five Armies, which is really cool. I think they said 25 of those would be the Hobbit and the kind of stuff you see in the movies, and then 5 of them would be historic Hobbit scenarios. So they mentioned things like the Battle of Az and Obzar and the attack on Dale, which I thought was really exciting. So like Smaug's attack on Dale, I think, is a scenario. So that's cool. So that's what the book is. It's a source book, but it's kind of like the source book to end all source books. So all the scenarios and all the profiles from the Desolation of Smaug and Battle of Five Armies will be in this one book. The book is ludicrously exciting. It's provisionally titled There and Back Again, but that's not set in stone. And I think, did they say they were aiming for end of October? Yeah, because I remember having a chat about my birthday. They're aiming for kind of October, end of October, November, that sort of time for the book, which, as some of you will notice, means it comes out after some of the models come out. And what they said about that was that those rules will be available either as I don't know, experimental rules, or they will release somewhere, either on a website or on the box or something like that. So the rules will come out, the rules for things like the Iron Hills Dwarves will come out before the book is published, which is cool. So you'll get some models to tide you over, kind of like your first single, I guess, before your album comes out. And then the album will come out in October. So what's clear is it's going to be a very, very, very exciting end to the year. I can't wait to get my hands on that book and start seeing what the guys have been up to. So yeah, that is the book. A few other things came up from the seminar because there was Q&As. The question of a starter set was raised again, and they said there were no plans at the moment. It wasn't on the immediate release schedule, but if and when they got around to doing a Middle-earth strategy battle game. Again, the Middle-earth strategy battle game logo was there on the screen. When they got around to doing the next version of the rules, which I don't think they said when they were doing, I think he said it would be a good idea to do a starter set. I think that was the kind of word. So again, no plans for one now. Don't hold your breath for one now. But I think at some point within the next few years, we might well see a new starter set. Someone asked about terrain. Would there be any more terrain? It was the same answer as Stone of Skulls. That Lake Town would obviously be a test to see how well that went down. But also maybe they'd look to do Forge World, kind of Realm of Battle tiles, possibly. I think Adam mentioned it would be cool. He wouldn't say these were coming, but he thought it'd be cool to have a weathertop kind of, or a seeing seat, Am and Hen seeing seat on a Realm of Battle tile, something like that. Again, no immediate plans for those, but I think that was the route they might go down on some of that stuff. So yeah, there are other questions. I'm sure there are other questions. War of the Ring was mentioned, and again, it was not for the minute. They weren't ruling it out, but they kind of said, that's who knows down the line. But for the minute, it was very much strategy battle game, not War of the Ring. I can't particularly remember. A lot of the questions dealt with things that I've already covered, I think. So yeah, that was the kind of information. The last thing I want to say, which was incredibly important, possibly the most important thing I think, is that the enthusiasm levels from the whole team were amazing. If you have, I think the vast majority of the community seems to be ludicrously excited about this. There's still some people who are like, no, it's Forge World and it's going to cost too much money and so on and so forth. And I think what's very, very clear is that in place they have a team that are so passionate about Middle-earth and about the game. They were all kind of just buzzing about the stuff they're working on. They were so happy to be discussing it. So awesome that they did this at all to kind of present, kind of show this stuff off in advance and kind of talk to people. It's very, very cool, and it shows a slightly different strategy, I guess, to the way the Hobbit had been presented. I remember when the last 3 sets of releases came out, we saw the first models a week before they're on sale, based on leaky, blurred White Dwarf photos. That's where we saw the models, wasn't it? So having this kind of presentation months and months and months before is a great idea to kind of drum up enthusiasm and drum up interest, I think. The guys were amazing. Jay, Gav, Keith, Adam and even Rob, who was kind of popping over every now and again. They were so clearly, utterly enthused about what they were doing. Rob's started working on sculpting stuff in his spare time, and it kind of shows the kind of attitude they've got. Our game is in the hands of people who want the game to be great and want to create incredibly cool models and do incredibly cool things with this incredibly cool game. And I couldn't be happier. They go out these badges. Very exciting. In many ways, this is what Adam seemed more excited about, the badges than the models, which everyone who went up to stand got a badge. So that was that's a nice little bonus. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, there was a wonderful buzz around the entire Middle-earth stand for the entire weekend. There was a lot of traffic around it, and their seminars were packed. It seems ludicrously exciting. It seems like a great time for the hobby, and it seems like we've got a really passionate group of people driving the game forward. So put away any cynicism or grumbles and just be delighted that our game, which was dead 2 years ago and has no right whatsoever to still be here, has been completely rejuvenated and is going to go through a ludicrously exciting, at the very least, first year as they do all the stuff about the 5 armies. And then we all know that Adam said he's got the first 4 years, is it, planned out, and who knows where it will go from there. But it's a wonderfully exciting time. From a personal point of view, thanks to the guys for having us along and for letting us be part of it. It was really great to meet everyone that I chatted to over the weekend, put faces to loads of names from the internet and stuff, and then just met a whole bunch of new people, and it was just great chatting about our wonderful game. So yes, the future is very, very bright. That's everything I believe that I've got out of Warhammer Fest. If you've got any questions about stuff I haven't covered, put them in the comments below and I will try and respond to them. So yes, that is my Warhammer Fest roundup video. I hope you've enjoyed that. Just a little caveat, right now, I think this is going up today, but right now there is a spare team spot available for our Seven Stones tournament. It's currently Friday the, what is it, 20th, I think. Next weekend, me and Tom are running a doubles tournament in West Finchley. There is a team spot available, as in 2 places. Like you can either 2 singles or 1 team can come. We need someone to fill it for the group system to work. So please, if you are interested at all, get in touch with us on either on the comments or probably quicker on the Facebook group or something like that, because we need to fill that spot. We're very excited about running our tournament there. We will be back with the Palantir in about 2 weeks, somewhere like that, we hope. And we'll catch you up on everything we've been missing there until then. Until then, don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe. Support your Hobbit host by clicking the links below. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Support your Hobbit hobby, and happy strategy battle gaming.